It's morning, and that means it's time for Rotten Mornings. The best way to start your morning off rotten. Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to Rotten Morning.
Good morning.
Matt is transforming from an ice maker into a podcast.
I'm coming out of my chrysalis.
Wow. If you guys didn't hear our podcast about vampires,
Lucky you.
I'm Scott.
Yep, you're still Scott.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like we should just tell people I'm Scott. If
Okay.
you guys didn't know.
You're Scott if you didn't know. Then I'm
We have a format. We have a format here, Matt.
Oh, yeah. I said it.
Okay.
My name's Matt, and I have a format.
Well, this is starting off well. I think that I want to go ahead and get a kind of a temperature check. How you feeling? You feeling good?
Oh, I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah. You excited about today?
Yeah, definitely, man. A lot of stuff to do.
Yeah, a lot of stuff to do. We're going to talk about what's coming up on our broadcast schedule here. But first, let's talk about the stuff that we saw yesterday.
Yes. Good. Proud of you.
So, yesterday, we had a podcast and we talked about Bigfootai. Is that what it is?
Big Fiat.
Big Fiat.
Big
I don't know if you like a Big Fiat or not.
Like my big Fiat because they're going to be inside of your butthole.
Okay. The last time, it doesn't matter. So yeah, we talked about we attempted to talk about Bigfoot, but we kept having technical issues, huh?
Yeah, we had a serious gremlin issue with the podcast.
We should probably explore that issue further.
You mean by having more of them?
By having more gremlins?
Yes.
Oh, definitely.
And just
Definitely.
add water.
And then we had our first review today.
Yes, for the haunted chicken house.
Yeah,
it was pretty
we had
long.
that yesterday.
Yesterday.
That's right.
Yeah.
We had our first review yesterday.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
That was a good review.
I don't want to give a false impression. Sometimes when we are at haunts, just by the kind of strange nature of who we are, strange things happen. So when I'm watching the review, I see one of those strange things happen, and I'm sure anyone else who watched it also picked up on it.
And what was that?
Matt and Brandy enter the crazy train, which gives me anxiety to watch them get on. Like I had a feeling of dread. as soon as they pull off, they are transported into daylight.
Yep.
Yeah, it's just for the ride, because then later on it's dark again.
That's how awesome that ride is.
Yeah, and guys, if that doesn't happen, well, it probably will.
It probably will.
Yeah, it will scare, and I'm sorry to say that, but it will scare the daylights out of you.
Or into you.
Wow. Looks like you guys had a lot of fun. Did you have a lot of fun?
Yeah, it was super fun, man. I really enjoyed out there. I love them. The haunts have been just packed with people. Good Lord.
I've been kind of hesitant about the haunts just because of stuff, but like, like I saw some masks, and I saw people like responsible and stuff, and really, while the haunts kind of have the recommendations of masks and social distance and stuff, it's really the people showing up who that's on, and to see
Yeah,
people doing that and stuff, I'm encouraged by it.
they're doing what they can, and that's awesome.
Yeah. And that's what that if we're all doing our part and doing what we can, every little thing helps, right?
Yeah, I'd honestly say that the haunts probably do more than like most restaurants do.
Yeah. Um. So we had that, and I look forward to more Rotten reviews in the future. Those will be good. Looks like that's very popular. Uh,
Yeah.
it's going a little viral right now. And then we had
Then we had the
what?
sixth episode of Rotten Strips.
Yeah, we had that.
Well, that was a hoot. Let me tell you something.
Oh boy.
First of all, I know a lot of people don't laugh at the same jokes in our episodes that we laugh at because they
Right.
don't get them.
Mm-hmm.
But when you had her repeating herself, that was hilarious to me.
Oh boy.
When you the tortilla poem was amazing though. I could not stop laughing for the whole entire tortillas.
I was really nervous about that piece. I'm not gonna lie.
That was probably the crowning achievement of that episode.
And that happened just because I went out to my car for lunch as I'm trying to figure out how to make an episode at work.
And there were some
And
tortillas.
yeah, it was a gift from corn.
Right?
So I'll kind of want to tell you something funny about that segment. Do you recognize the voice?
I thought it was just your voice with a filter.
It sounds so much like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not. That's my phone reading this poem to me, and I just filtering that, and then I heard it back, and I'm like, "That's me, though."
Oh my God,
What?
that's wild. That's hilarious.
In fact, the voices that I did do in this episode sound less like me than that did. Oh, heck. Oh, well. So it's fun. You enjoyed it?
I enjoyed it a lot. I did. Was that a porno at the end there? Is it like Debbie Does Dallas or something?
It was specifically Bambi Woods in Debbie Does Dallas.
Shut up.
No, that's exactly it. The famous scene is
landed it.
Huh?
Hell yeah! I'm so proud of myself for catching that one.
Yeah, we're embarrassed.
No. I'm not embarrassed by that information in the least.
And I only had to cut out a couple of little parts.
Little parts, indeed.
Yeah, I got it in by a hair. It's kind of fun. Cool. Well, we have so today is Wednesday, and we have things coming out today. It being Wednesday,
we do. Today we will have, of course, what you're listening to currently. We should have our review for Hellbilly Hollow and the 7th episode of Rotten Strips, and maybe Dolls versus Teddy Bears, but it has not worked out for me yet.
That's okay. We know that when it does, if it does, but when it does, maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, maybe not ever, but when it does,
soon for the rest of our lives.
It'll be great. So that'll be good. I'm looking forward to Hellbilly Hollow review, and I am looking for the end of the first week of Rotten Strips.
Yeah, it's true.
That's wild, man.
So, like, how likely do you think it is that I'm going to show the to be continued episode and not just leave people wanting it until Friday?
Oh, I'm 100.
I so want to do it. I so want to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, I've got one piece of footage that I'm sitting on that I'm like, I got nothing else, but I don't want to show
I know,
it
right?
yet.
I really want to I want to
Um,
keep it one more like at least for my next episode and your next episode until Friday so then people will like tune in. But I'm going to say and now the continuation of something else. It's probably going to be
if you watch,
the Callums like because that technically ended on a to be continued also.
did it?
Yeah, because
I thought I
he was just like,
I thought
"Hey, how's it going? All right, thanks."
you're talking about at Scuttle's
Yes,
Emporium.
exactly.
I love that bit because it's like, hey, I'd like for you to check out the other features. All right,
All right,
bye.
bye.
Total number of features they had,
Zero.
0 features, but we checked them all out.
Yeah, so
I
I
was
don't know.
like,
That's not necessarily going to happen. There's a good chance that it might be the to be continued, but I don't really know.
um, it's okay. That's okay. We have things. We have other stuff. We're going to be good. And really, we're just doing this for those of people who are listening and people who are watching our stuff. They know that it'll just be random and silly, whatever it
And then
is.
we rock it random and silly. So if you like, honestly, guys, if you like almost anything on Adult Swim that can just kind of cover so many different bases, then we are 100% your cup of tea.
Yeah. So if you've been watching Rotten Strips, you've seen um, ground tortillas, and you've seen 5 hour unedited footage of a bush.
Yes. That's pretty much it. You're filming trash and I'm filming nature. It's very esoteric.
Pretty much, if I'm filming trash. Cool, man. Well, we're going to go ahead and jump off of here. If you guys want to stick around, stay tuned. We have a fun topic that we're going to talk about in our supernatural section. Yeah, spooky, weird. So stick around after the break, and we'll see you here shortly. Have a rotten morning.
Have a rotten morning, guys.
Strange creatures come large and small. Creatures inhabit all parts of the world. On this episode, we explore Gremlins, the mischievous creatures known to sabotage aircraft. So, the topic is Gremlins.
Magua.
Gremlins.
Magua.
I'm joined in this episode by someone just randomly saying Mogwai.
Yeah, and that's me.
Good God. Yeah, so let's talk about Gremlins a little bit. And then we'll talk about the movie too if you want to. But
It's
in the
grossly
research,
inaccurate.
do you think so?
Well, it doesn't have anything to do with what Gremlins actually were.
Yeah, it does have that one component. Doing the research for this, it was really interesting because we think of a lot of the folklore and myths and legends occurring, hundreds of years ago, and that being passed down, passed down, passed down. But then you look at these more popular cryptids, and they're relatively new, like Mothman. That's a relatively new one in the grand scheme of things. And then also Gremlins. Gremlins came from World War II.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I did not know that. I knew that they had talked about them in the war. I guess like the reason I figured they were so like quote unquote ancient is because it kind of seems like they might be sampled from other folklore.
Yeah, and again, this is just the research that I did. It sounded like people were saying, "Oh yeah, I knew about them in the First World War," but there's no documentation that was ever used. So World War II is the first time we ever see any documentation of this term,
But
and it was kind of a.
Am I wrong about some sort of a creature in Norway, possibly a brownie that would like steal shoes or something like that?
No, that's accurate. In as much as any of the facts that we say on the show are.
Yeah, right. By accurate, you mean I also believe I've heard that, but can't really say I have a source.
So the Gremlins kind of took the shape of these mischievous creatures that would the first kind of instances where they would cut the wires on biplanes. Of course, biplanes wires are what controls the props and the wings. So cutting those would be very bad, right?
Right.
But it were these, and it didn't ever seem like they were like trying to damage you for the enemy. Like the enemy claimed to have just as many gremlin problems.
Well, let me ask you this: why did the gremlin become prevalent, and what was the purpose behind it? I don't understand. Like, did they just all of a sudden say like, "Oh, there's gremlins"? Like, why?
I don't. There's a debate about the etymology of that specific word, but it was similar to saying, "Oh, hey, a demon must have did that." Oh yeah, we must have had, spirits came in here and did it. Or,
I guess I'm asking not necessarily where the name came from, but why they needed gremlins.
Oh, I see. So, in a very stressful kind of wartime, if anybody would make a mistake, whether they didn't check something or whether they just made a mistake, instead of saying that they made the mistake or blaming it or throwing blame on someone else or on themselves, they would blame it on this other entity. They'd blame it on gremlins.
Huh.
Yeah. So gremlins became kind of the scapegoat. But, Matt, we talked about this in a previous podcast. When you give a name to something and you give a belief to something and then you create a culture to something, you can kind of make that thing, right?
Yeah, like manifest mass belief, mass hysteria, sort of.
That's right. So, gremlins may not have existed until we needed them to exist, right?
Yeah, I mean that makes sense. I mean that works with a lot of cryptos, especially like newer ones, like things like Siren Head and stuff like that. Like things like that couldn't have existed back in the day. They had no concept of those things. You know what I mean?
Sure.
But they're still like a great example of just like a continuation of an older thing. Like you look at Slender Man, and he's kind of like another creature, or like Siren Head. He's like the Banshee or the Will-O-Wisp or something. You know what I mean? Like they all still have these common tropes to them, but they're like sort of an evolution of an original idea. Each one being that sort of unknown. Like if we don't know it, we love to give it a name.
Right. It's weird we see the prevalence of the mischievous ones. We are going to cause hijinks for the sake only of hijinks, not to be evil or to be good, but just to be mischievous.
Right. The same way my dog has no concept that she is doing the one thing that could be the worst thing for me, but she's just doing it because she's like, hey, this is a thing I could do.
Right. She's not trying to be bad. She's just trying to dog.
Yeah. She's
I think
dogging
that's.
bro.
Oh no, that's not right.
But okay,
I guess
so
there's nothing wrong with dogging, like dogs dogging. Like that's
I
acceptable,
mean dogs
and
dog.
an unacceptable topic to take this to. So back to Gremlins.
So yeah, so you have the movie of Gremlins, which kind of sort of took the mythos in a completely different direction. Because yes, they were mischievous, but they were very maliciously mischievous. When into the evil versions of them, I guess. But technically, Gizmo. Technically, they weren't gremlins. They just gave the movie the name. Technically, that it was a mogwai.
Sure. I mean, the Gremlin myth came more prevalent with Roald Dahl, who wrote the Gremlin story,
Oh,
and the movie
he
was.
wrote The Witches also. That's about to have a remake.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. He wrote a lot of interesting stuff that people don't give him credit for, but fascinating guy. But he actually was in the one of the branches, the Air Force branches, and so he was familiar with Gremlins, and he wrote the children's book.
Huh.
Actually, Lady Bird Johnson used to read his Gremlins storybook to her children in the White House.
Oh, that's awesome.
Mm-hmm. So we talked about that, and so the Roald Dahl book exists, and the film kind of loosely based on that. But to me, more iconically Gremlin will always be Nightmare at 20,000 Feet.
Yeah, and I was gonna say that, like, how many offshoot characters, how many random out of nowhere, like not giant, but like a big group, like say like critters and stuff like that. How many of them can I say one line and you know which side character I'm talking about? One line I could say, and people that know horror, they'll know exactly what character I'm talking about. You know what that line is? What's the line, Scott?
There's something on the wing.
On the wing. Someone.
Did John Lithgow say that line
In the remake?
in the film version?
Yes.
I couldn't remember. I was trying to, as you were saying that, I was trying to remember if he said that line he didn't do it as Shatner-esque as Shatner did.
No, he did not.
But he did play that character. I like John Lithgow. I think he's great.
But it'll always be Shatner saying the line.
It'll always be that.
There's something on the wing. Something.
The Twilight Zone episodes never stop being relevant.
I can agree with
Would
that.
you agree with that?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, there's still Twilight Zone episodes that are published in English books. When I was in English, one of the Twilight Zone episodes we like almost studied as sort of an idea of sociology and stuff. And it was the episode when the alien...
The monsters come to Maple Street?
Yes.
Uh-huh. Yeah, that's... I listened to that again the other day, an audio version of that, and still chilling and as provocative as when it came out then.
Well, it even, like, you listen to that now and you go to, like, a town and don't be surprised if that's what people are talking like right now.
Mm-hmm. It is. It's terrifying, right?
Everybody's trying to figure out who the monsters are.
Oh, man. So we talked about the Gremlins, and we talked about, and I guess I should point out that another kind of specific thing about Gremlins were that they were specifically aircraft mischief
Yes.
makers. That's something that's kind of left out in any story that's not that. But we don't have a lot of creatures that are specific to this. I guess like the Kraken attacked boats. He didn't attack, school buses.
Yeah, but that's a little bit different. It's not like gremlins have wings.
They did originally.
Oh, really?
Or I can't say that. I'm sorry. They were flying people.
Oh, because they
were
just could fly.
Yeah, they were like little flying people, and then they would like, and they were more humanoid than the monster thing.
The Kraken's not a swimming person, so
right. That's fair. That's fair. I guess you're just an expert on the Kraken, huh?
Yeah. See, the creature from the Black Lagoon couldn't be called the creature from the Black Lagoon if it went to the Black Lagoon after the fact.
It's the creature on his way to the Black Lagoon.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, I went to the Black Lagoon the other day. I met a creature, and on his back, he had 7 bags. Oh, ridiculous. Anyway, I think that the story of Gremlins is fun because the story come about, and then it has made itself into an iconic thing, and definitely Roald Dahl had some part of it, but I think the film and the Twilight Zone episodes for you and I has been more iconic.
Definitely. 100%.
So, guys, if y'all have Gremlin stories or know more about Gremlins, you want to leave something in the comments, so we'll talk about it. Otherwise, we're going to go ahead and wrap this up, and you guys have a rotten morning.
Hey, if you guys know how to work this new young person technology, let us know so we can stop blaming it on things and have a rotten morning. Stay rotten.
Stay rotten.